April 8th, that's the deadline for Republicans and Democrats to reach a deal on federal funding for the remainder of the year. Now, what happens if they don't reach a deal? The government shuts down. Lawmakers have passed 6 short-term spending bills, but the next one expires in less than 2 weeks. So can both sides meet the deadline? Congressman Paul Ryan joins us. Congressman, nice to see you. And actually, there are 2 issues on the table with you. One is the long-term budget, which you're going to unveil in about a week or 2, and also the short-term until September 30th. Any bets on whether we're going to shut down between now and September 30th? The first one.
Well, it's been 38 days since we passed our bill in the House preventing a government shutdown, cutting spending. The Senate has yet to do that. They have passed nothing to try and prevent a government shutdown or get any spending savings. So we have yet to see any serious action from the Senate to try and prevent a shutdown. We are not trying to shut down the government. We're trying to save money. We're trying to cut spending. And we really don't see any sincere efforts on their half to fix this. So like Lindsay said a second ago, it looks like they might be aiming for a government shutdown. That's not our intention. Our intention is to cut spending and save some money. All
right, let's do long term. You're going to unveil your debt. So, unveil your budget. Yeah, unveil your debt. We got the debt. Unveil your budget.
We got a lot of debt. We got plenty of that.
What are you going to do?
We're going to cut spending. We're going to reform entitlements, which are the big drivers of our debt.
So who's going to get hit?
Look, next week you'll see. But the point I want to make is the sooner you tackle our fiscal problems in America, the better off we are all going to be. We are going to present a plan for prosperity, for economic growth, for job creation, for getting spending under control and reforming the drivers of our debt so that not only do our children and grandchildren inherit a better country and a higher standard of living, but get jobs going right now. If we don't preempt a debt crisis, then we will have painful European-like austerity. Benefit cuts to current seniors, tax increases on everybody that slows down the economy. That's what we're trying to prevent from happening. We want gradual reforms that protect seniors, people in and near retirement from any changes, and we want to get government right so we don't have this tidal wave of debt that's coming, which is the most predictable economic crisis we've ever had in this country. We want to preempt it, and that takes leadership. The president hasn't led. We're going to. All
right, one of your charts that you gave us, it says what drives our debt, and we have to put it up on the screen for the viewers. Right. But we'll look at, in terms of, the impact of what we spend on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. If that's such a huge portion of what drives our debt, something's got to get cut out of that.
Those 3 programs right there, when my children are my age, consume all federal revenues. Now, why is it? It's basically a couple of things. Demographics. We're going from 40 million retirees to 80 million retirees when the baby boomers retire. And healthcare costs. Healthcare inflation goes up about 7% a year, 2 to 3 times the rate of economic growth and inflation. So those 3 programs right there are consuming it. So next week we'll lay out a specific plan for how we propose to do it. But the point I want to make is if we reform these programs now, we can do it gradually and prospectively. No changes for anybody in near retirement. So those like my mom and your parents who are good Wisconsinites who are on these programs, they don't see changes in their benefits. But for younger people like us in the X generation, we will have to have reforms to these programs. One, so they're actually there when we retire, so they're sustainable, so they're solvent. But number 2, so we preempt a debt crisis. So we stop this crowding out of all this spending.
So if I get this right, that what you anticipate, and I realize it's still a work in progress, is that for people over a certain age, is that they'll still have their Social Security and their health care.
Everybody will still have Social Security.
But that what it's going to do, the people under that age are their futures is going to be reformed and restructured.
We'll have to reform these programs to save these programs. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, they're all going bankrupt. They're all facing looming insolvency, and that's according to the trustees. So you've got to reform these programs if you want to save these programs, and we want to save these programs so there's something we can actually count on as younger people. But more importantly, these are the big drivers of our debt, and we don't want to give this country a debt crisis.
If I understand this correctly, then, is that if you're not going to touch anybody who's receiving benefits, and it's like so you're going to reform or restructure for those who intend to receive it in the future, is they're not going to feel any change in the immediate, so that no one's going to feel any change under your program.
And that's my point. My point is, if we tackle these challenges now, we can do it very gradually, we can do it on our own terms, and we can do it in a phased-in way. If you kick the can down the road, and if you keep delaying and procrastinating, then it's bitter and it's awful for everybody. Everybody gets cut. That's what we want to avoid. Every year we delay fixing this problem, we go about $10 trillion in the hole of more unfunded promises that Washington is making to people. We got to start talking honestly with people. We need fact-based budgeting, we need honest budgets, and we got to give the country a plan to preempt a big debt crisis. And that's why I'm saying do it now. You can have economic growth, you can have prosperity. It's gradual, it's phased in. Kick the can down the road, go trillions of dollars deeper into debt, and then everybody starts getting hurt, and that's what we want to avoid.
Have you talked to any of the Democrats and give them sort of an idea of where it's going, and do you get a sense that they think, well, that might be a pretty good idea, I'd like to join on, or is the line drawn in the sand?
Well, I talked to blue dog Democrats in the House.
The conservative ones.
The conservative Democrats. And I think they see the same thing. They see, look, we all see these numbers. I mean, all the independent fiscal authorities are telling us this thing's getting out of control. And so I do talk to conscientious blue dog Democrats who I think see it our way. The question is whether or not they're willing to break party ranks or not. And I don't know the answer to that.
And the Senate, we don't know what's going to happen in the Senate.
They don't really talk to us.
They don't like you, right? Anyway, Congressman, thank you. Always nice to see you. Congressman Paul Ryan from the great state of Wisconsin. I might add. They didn't do too well in basketball the other night. But anyway, who's counting?
But
next year. Anyway.